Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Thank you for joining me again for another edition of Story Time with Paul B. My name is Brian K McNeill, and I am the sales confidence coach. And I have been blessed to be in a profession of speaking and teaching and training people on how to sell better for right at 30 years now. And over the years, I've collected a bunch of what I call useful fiction stories and a bunch of stories with a point that I think are really, really interesting. So a little while back, I decided to share these stories in a segment I call Story Time with Paul B. And I have another one. This is another one of these stories that I've told often over the years. I like the story, and I hope you like it as well. And I hope you'll find your own meaning in the story. So, to kick off tonight's festivities, let's cue the music. Hey, yeah, come through, everybody come see. Story time with Pop B, yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Pop B, yeah. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents to entrepreneurs. Got you laughing. You gonna have a good time. Still educational, this is what you want now. Come through, everybody come see. Story time with Pop B, yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Pop B. Let's go. All right, here we go. Now, this is the story. There was this elderly couple. They had been married for 55 years, and they were still deeply in love with each other. For the past 20 years, they had this thing they did where every single morning they would go to the kitchen and they would each have a cup of hot tea and one slice of bread with jelly on it. And they would sit there and they would drink their tea and they would eat their one slice of bread with jelly on it and just enjoy each other's company. And they have done that every day for the past 20 years. And it was something that they both looked forward to, actually. And it kind of became like a romantic thing for them. One year on their 55th wedding anniversary, they sit at the table, they make the hot tea, and they have the tea on the saucers. And and they have their little plates out there. And this particular time, the husband, he grabs a brand new loaf of bread and he sits there with his wife, happy to be there. And he opens up a brand new loaf of bread. And he takes out the very first slice, the crust of the bread, takes out the very first slice, puts jelly on it, which is what he always does. He always jellies it and gives it to his wife, puts it on a saucer and slides it over to his wife. And then he takes the very next piece of bread, puts jelly on it, and puts it on his own plate. And they're about to start eating, and she starts to sob. And she's crying. He goes, "Darling, what's wrong?" She goes, "After 55 years of marriage, haven't I been a good wife to you? Yes, you've been an incredible wife. Please tell me what's wrong." After 55 years of marriage, you're still so selfish that you give me the worst slice of bread. You give me that first slice of bread that no one likes. After 55 years of marriage, you still insist on giving the worst piece of bread to me. He goes, "Darling, I'm sorry. I thought you knew. That very first slice of bread, that's my favorite piece. And all these years, I've been giving you my favorite piece. And I thought you knew it was my favorite piece." She didn't. So they had a moment there where they could cry together and bond together. Now, this story to me highlights the importance of communicating completely and clearly. For 20 years, she's been harboring animosity to her husband that she loved because he insisted on giving her what she thought was the worst piece of bread. And the whole time, he thought he was giving his wife his favorite slice of bread. That's what it is. So often we have challenges because we failed to communicate clearly and completely. This is the story of the elderly couple at the breakfast. Again, my name is Brian K McNeill. This is a brief story, but I hope you got the point. I appreciate each one of you guys that join me for Story Time with Paul B. I'll be back next week, Tuesday. And before you go, hey, yeah, come through, everybody come see. Story Time with Pop B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, Story Time with Pop B. Yeah. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents to entrepreneurs. Got you laughing, you gonna have a good time. Still educational, this is what you want now. Come through, everybody come see. Story Time with Pop B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, Story Time with Pop B. Let's go. I want you guys to know that I hear you. Those of you who are saying these segments need to be longer. I don't think length is the importance of the show. I think the importance is to tell the story that has a point to it. I hope you found value in this story. If you did find value in this story, please share it. Share it on your LinkedIn. Share it on your Facebook. And check out my YouTube channel, Brian K McNeill. I have tons of stories on there and trainings as well. But I appreciate you all. I do enjoy this time. You have a beautiful rest of your evening.